go through your virtual machine in Photoshop and create these lower third graphics. So all I've done so far is I logged into the virtual machine. I made sure down here, and you can see that my drive file stream is not running. So the first thing you do whenever you open the virtual machine is go to the drive file stream and make sure you've signed in. This is a Google sign in, so we have to use students at the first part. There we go. Now the Google Drive file stream, I'm going to go ahead and open Photoshop, and I'm going to create a new document. And I'm going to go ahead and choose the film and video HDTV, but because I'm creating a graphic and I'm creating a title that I want you guys to be able to see, I'm going to go ahead and title this as last name underscore first name initial and how to. But because I am going to be showing this over video, I want to make sure that I have a see-through background. So I'm going to change my background contents to transparent, and I'm going to hit create. 1080p, that is correct. Now that I have a clear canvas to work on, I'm going to start by making a rectangle for me to put the text into. So I'm going to click on my shape tool, and I actually like to use a rounded rectangle. I'm going to go ahead and change my fill color to a gradient, and I think I'm cooking eggs, so maybe I will come down to the oranges. Ooh, that looks like a very I'm cooking eggs color. So now just here on the bottom, I'm going to create a little block for me to put my titles in. You may remember right before we went on break, I talked about how you still want it to be somewhat see-through, somewhat transparent, and that number should be somewhere between 65 and 85. So I'm going to lower my opacity here to 76. As you can see, you can now see through my rectangle just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and add my text. And my first title was how to make the best eggs. So I'm going to go to my text tool. Sure will. Give me just 1 second. Now, obviously, that text is a little too small. So how did I get here? I started with a nice blank canvas. I went first to my shape tool, which is, you can choose from a rectangle. You could do an ellipse if you wanted. I chose to use the rounded rectangle tool. At the top, under your tool options, I clicked on my fill color, and I changed it from a solid color to a gradient. You guys can do a solid color, and you could pick, obviously, any color that you wanted. You can do a gradient. I don't recommend a pattern because it's going to be really hard to see. So once you find your fill color, all you have to do is click and draw a shape onto your screen. You with me so far? From there, I went to the opacity for that layer on my layer panel, and I lowered it down to somewhere between 65 and 85. These will eventually go in your video. Yes, sir. Then I went to my text tool and I put in my first title. What's great about this is from my opening title to step 1, step 2, step 3, there's actually a really quick way to duplicate your layers so that your text is always in the same position. If I look at my screen, my first step was step 1, gather everything you need. If I take my text layer and I right click on it and choose duplicate, then I can turn off my original layer and use my text tool to change this to step 1. Gather ingredients. My step 2 was to crack the eggs. So once again, I'm going to right click on my text layer, choose duplicate layer, hit OK, turn off step 1. Once I've gone a couple steps, I probably need to save it. I haven't saved it recently. So I'm going to go down to File and Save. It's going to ask, do I want to save it on my computer or to the cloud? I'm going to choose Save to my computer. I'm then going to select my Google Drive file stream, double click into my drive, find where you can save it just to your drive if you want. I happen to have my sample class folder. And I'm going to click Save and OK. And I want to make sure I do this after every couple steps in case something goes wrong and something crashes. And I would continue to just duplicate my layer, turn off the one on the bottom. Let's see, step 3 was mix in additional ingredients. And I do apologize. Does anybody remember? I got through saving the document, yes? So that would give you one saved Photoshop document that has your text on each text on a different layer, but everything will be aligned up. You guys actually look, if I was to turn on all of my text layers, they're all just right there on top of each other. So it makes it real easy and clean when I watch the video that my box never moves and my text never moves. Once you have your Photoshop file with all of your titles on it, you're actually going to save out separate .png images for everything. And that's as simple to do as going to File, Save As. Once again, you'll go to your Google Drive, to that folder that you're going to save everything in. And I'm going to label this as how to, and I'm going to call this number 3 because this is step 3. I'm going to change my format from Photoshop to .png. I'm going to hit save and OK. I would then turn off step 3's text, turn on step 2, same process, file, save as. I'm going to hit don't show again because I'm tired of that pop-up. I'm going to go down to .png. I'm going to call this how to number 2. Save, OK. Turn on step 1, file, save as, .png. This is step 1. So by going through and doing that for each one of your steps, you now have a separate image that you can put in when we start to edit this, and it's going to be super, super simple. Okay, not super, super simple, super simple. Take the next 30 minutes to keep working. If you guys have any questions on how I got